good. And I can unmute me because you muted me at the same time. So that was
lovely. Brilliant.
Okay.
So, croeso pawb. Mae croeso chi gyd cymryd ran yn Cymraeg neu Saesneg. A byddai'n hwyluso'r sesiwn gyda Julie. Felly dwi yma a dwi'n gallu cyfieithu neu egluro pethau yn unrhyw amser yn ystod y sesiwn fel bo angen. Okay, welcome everybody. All of you are welcome to take part in Welsh or English, and I'll be facilitating the session with Julie, so I can translate or clarify anything anytime during the session as needed. So, mwyn dathlu diwrnod hawliau gofalwyr, rydym wedi gweithio gyda'n partneriaid I gyflwyno rhaglen lawn o sesiynau ar-lein am bynciau allweddol sy'n gysylltiedig ar diwrnod hawliau gofalwyr. Bydd y sesiynau hyn yn cael eu cynnal rhwng mis Hydref a diwedd mis Mawrth blwyddyn nesaf. Cewch fwy o wybodaeth am hynny ar y diwedd. Hon yw'r gyntaf o'n sesiynau gyda Curie Cymru. O ystyried natur sensitif y sgwrs, os byddwch chi dan deimlad neu'n teimlo'n anghyffyrddus enghraifft, mae'n hollol iawn I chi diffodd eich camera neu adael y sesiwn ar unwaith. Byddwn yn deall yn iawn, does dim broblem o gwbl. Hefyd, os hoffech chi gael sgwrs o Julie ar diwedd y sesiwn, holi ac ateb, a fydd yn dilyn ei hanerchiad hi. Mae croeso cynnes I chi drefnu hynny gyda Julie, gnawn ein gorau rhwng y dau ohono ni I ateb eich holl gwestiynau. So, in order to celebrate Carers' Rights Day, we've worked with our partners to bring you an entire program of online sessions on key topics. These are all linked to Carers' Rights Day, and they run from October right through to the end of March this year. More information on those at the end of this recording. This is the first of our Carers' Rights Day online sessions. And this one is with Curie Cymru. And because of the sensitive nature of the talk, I just need to make you aware as well. If you feel overwhelmed or upset at any point, then we quite understand. It's absolutely fine if you want to switch your camera off or leave the session suddenly. We do understand. Also, if you'd like to chat to Julie at the end of the Q&A session, and that will immediately follow her talk, then you're very welcome to do so. We'll try our best to accommodate all your questions. Felly, rwyf yn awr felly am eich trosglwyddo chi I Julie, so I will now hand over to Julie.
Okay, I will try to share my screen. I'll be doing everything in English, so Catherine will do any Welsh that we need to do. Right, so can you see that? Can you see a slide?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
It's looking good.
Good, that's okay then. So I'm Julie and I work for Curie. My role is to support carers. For people that don't know, Curie provides palliative and end-of-life care for people who are diagnosed with a terminal condition. Lots of people can think that and remember Curie as being Curie cancer care, but actually it's much broader than that. So we support people with any terminal condition, and that can be cancer, MS, COPD, dementia, Parkinson's, many other conditions, but somebody who has something that they're not going to get better from and are going to die with, then that would be a terminal condition. I'm going to talk about advanced care planning. Advanced care planning is about thinking about care needs that might change as an illness progresses, to ensure that someone's able to live as well as they can and can influence the care and receive that they have in the future. It includes people thinking about where they might want to die. Some people would prefer to die at home. Some people would prefer to die in a hospital, or if there's an option to die and to go to a hospice. But it's about thinking of that very difficult stage in life, and it's thinking ahead so that you're not making decisions when actually it feels more like it's a crisis. So what I'm going to cover today is what advanced care planning is, give some examples of the things that you can make decisions about, and how you can make those decisions and how you can communicate them to other people and the people that matter. And for somebody who, as a carer, how you might want to start that conversation if you haven't had those conversations with the person that you care for. Catherine's going to read this quote for us.
Sylweddolais yn sydyn fy mod yn wynebu marwolaeth. Dywedodd y doctor, gallwn ei derbyn i hi i'r ysbyty os hoffech chi ei lenwi hi a thiwbiau. Gofynnais faint o amser y byddai hynny'n ei roi iddi a dywedodd yntau rhyw 2 fis efallai. Gofynnais eto, beth os na fyddwch chi'n gwneud hynny, ac atebodd yntau tua wythnos. Fy ymateb I oedd, erbyn pryd y mae'n rhaid I mi wneud y penderfyniad yma, ac meddai, tua 4 awr. Gofalwr mewn grŵp ffocws.
Thank you. This quote is from somebody who we did a focus group, and it was a lady who was looking after her mother who had dementia, and suddenly there was a problem with her kidneys, with her mother's kidneys. This was her quote. I suddenly realised I was in the face of death. The doctor said, if you want, we can take her into hospital and we can fill her full of tubes. I asked how much longer that would give her, and they said, maybe 2 months. And I said, how long will it be if you don't? And he said, about a week. And I said, how long have I got to make that decision? And he said, about 4 hours. And I think that highlights why advanced care planning is important. It's important, particularly for carers, to have conversations earlier on in an illness before we get into a crisis situation. So advanced care planning simply is thinking about and talking to people and telling other people things that you might want to be part of your care plan as an illness goes on, and things that you don't want to happen to you. Another element that I'm only going to mention today is about appointing somebody who can speak for you. So that's lasting power of attorney, which I'm not going to go into detail. It's more about the straightforward advanced care planning. Advanced care plans only come into effect when someone is unable to communicate their wishes. So while someone's able to communicate, they will be listened to, and you can tell the doctors and family everything you want. However, there are certain circumstances where somebody might not be able to communicate their wishes, and there are some examples here. It can simply be that the person's illness has progressed enough that they're now unable to speak or to write and communicate easily. It could be that the person lacks capacity. To make some decisions, you have to have mental capacity, and it could be due to dementia, or for people with learning disabilities, they may not have the capacity to understand the impact of some of the decisions which need to be made. So that could be another reason why advanced care planning would be useful. It can be something that happens suddenly. A motor accident or any sort of damage to the brain could mean that somebody no longer has capacity to make the decisions, or possibly the ability to. And then other things that we're more familiar with, if somebody has a heart attack, a stroke, degenerative illnesses such as MND, motor neurone disease, and multiple sclerosis, can also lead to a point where people are unable to communicate their wishes. So just to reinforce again, while somebody can communicate, they will be listened to. Advanced care planning is about when somebody can't communicate anymore. If somebody isn't able to communicate, then decisions still need to be made about what treatment to receive and what care should be given. If an advanced care plan has been made, that will be used. The medical professionals or whoever is looking after the care workers will take note of those plans. If someone's appointed somebody through power of attorney to speak for them, then that person will be listened to. But if none of those things have happened, then what's called a best interest discussion will take place, where professionals and family and people who know the person who's being treated they discuss what the person would have wanted to happen, and the best understanding that somebody can have is achieved. When it comes to advanced care planning, the range of things that you can plan for goes from the very simple to like telling people, well, I would prefer to wear pajamas or a nightie, or maybe what I would like to eat or I wouldn't like to eat, the type of music I would want to listen to. Do I want to listen to Radio 2 or Radio 4, or what, those sorts of things. Maybe what would happen to my pets, to have a conversation and to give people a bit of peace of mind. So it goes from the quite straightforward to the more complicated and the more things that can affect life. So advanced care planning is a way to have control over your life when it may feel as if you have no control over the illness that the person is experiencing. So things like, if somebody isn't able to eat anymore, do they want to be peg fed? Do they want to be fed by a tube? If somebody has a heart attack, do they want to be resuscitated? Would you want to be kept alive on a machine? Some of those questions, it almost seems obvious, but actually we all have different views of how we think, how our approach to life. So some of the reasons that these questions can arise is most of us have an idea of our end of life. For some people that I've spoken to, that can be, I want to stay as long as possible, all costs, I just want to be here. But for other people, they'll say, well, once I've lost the quality of life, I'm not able to get out and about, I'm not able to communicate with people, I'm not experiencing life in the way that I did, then they will say, I don't want to be kept alive unnecessarily or unnaturally. So there's some of the decisions that you may want to, or people do make when they're looking at advanced care planning, because we are able to have some influence over what can happen as an illness progresses. As a carer, if the person you care for is unable to express themselves, people will turn to you to help make that decision. That can be a heavy burden, which can be easier if you've had conversations with the person that you care for. Talking to our nurses, starting the conversation with a loved one, the easiest point is if actually the person has already started to think things through and to come to terms with their terminal diagnosis. And our nurses say that people will start to talk about their end of their own life, and that might be saying, they might be talking about what will happen to the person, their family, after they've gone, what will happen to them after they've gone. They might talk about not wanting to go into hospital or imagining the end of the treatment they're going to receive at the end. All these are really good cues for people who are ready to talk about advanced care planning. They're a good opportunity to start the conversation at that point. Starting the conversation can be scary, but there are some sensitive ways you can do this. And I've given some examples here. It can be simple questions such as, what's important to you? Just generally in life, what's important to you? Having spoken to some people who work in care homes, they said it's a very natural conversation for them to have, that when somebody starts in the care home, they will go through the how do you want to be treated, what food do you like. They'll go through quite routine questions about their care, and then they quite easily move into the, what about when things get worse? Can you tell me about when you're feeling more poorly, how that your needs might change? And just helping people start to think those things through. Can you tell me what's important to you? There'll be good days and bad days ahead. I think I know what you want, but it would be good to be sure. There are some really sensitive ways that you can start that conversation with the person that you care for. Don't be surprised if there's silence. Even people who do this, and there are certain support services in some areas where someone will come and help you write an advanced care plan, and they say it can take a number of conversations, a number of sessions before you get something that you're happy with. So silence is fine, going slowly is fine, speaking to other people. There can be questions. There are options you can have about, well, I don't want certain treatments, refusal to have certain treatments. And that's called an advanced decision to refuse treatment. But sometimes you might need the advice of a medical professional about, well, what does that mean? If I don't want that, what does happen? What would the alternatives be? It's important to write it down. It's not essential, as in that you don't have to write it down. Just having the conversation between the carer and the cared for is good. But actually, if you want if you want to refuse treatment, it has to be written down because it's a legal document. And in any other respect, it's better to write it down anyway, because then you've got something that you can show to other people. Keeping it safe and sharing it. So keeping it safe can be putting it somewhere in your house that you know it's always there. For people that are having a district nurse come round, there's a district nurse file generally. You could keep the papers with the district nurse file. If anybody's aware of the Green Cross scheme, the Green Cross system is where somebody there's a Green Cross sticker you put on the back of your door, which alerts any medical professionals to the fact that there's a canister in the fridge, and in the fridge it will tell them essential information or tell them where an advanced care plan might be. So that's a good way of communicating. But if the easiest way is to use a template form, which is available on the internet, to write wishes. Now, there are a number of approaches. There are lots and lots of forms out there. Here are some examples. We tend to split advanced care plans into two parts. There's preferences and wishes, which are the simple things that people would like to happen around the things I've mentioned, around food or bathing, and simple things about life. And there's advanced care, advanced decisions to refuse treatment, which needs to be a legal document. The Alzheimer's Society have developed a really good booklet called This Is Me, which is a great prompt to go through and write about the person that you are, if this is a person who is newly diagnosed with dementia. But it's actually useful for anybody because it makes you think about the things that you like in life, what matters to you. It's a really good way to walk through, and there are links here and we can send them. On Marie Curie's website, we have lots of information, advanced care planning, but the direction that I always point people to is a website called Compassion in Dying. And they have a really good sets of forms and notes for which you can write your own advanced care plan. And this is the one where I've written my advanced care plan. And because everybody should do it, not just because you're ill, but just because it's good to think those things through to make it easier for your family. I'll give you the next slide. It's just some of the information. So this is probably the most serious page of an advanced care plan. So it's somebody recognizing that I confirm that by refusing the following treatment, it may shorten my life, because that's what refusing treatment can do. And then somebody can say, so I don't want life-sustaining treatment in the following circumstances. And that can be if somebody has got an advanced state of dementia, but you would specify that on the form here. Or if you're saying, from my own point of view, it would be if say I had a car accident and I wasn't able to communicate people and I wasn't able to move, I would not want to be kept alive. So this is an opportunity to say, don't give me life-sustaining treatment in these circumstances. There's lots more to these forms, and there are really good notes that go along with them. But it's just useful to even just have a look at the forms to give you some ideas of the things that you need to consider, and to talk to a medical professional if that's useful. I'm going to finish with a final quote, which Catherine will read this one.
Roeddwn i'n hyderus, ond wedyn roedd rhaid I mi fynd yn ôl I ddweud wrth fy nhad am chwiorydd. Roedden nhw I gyd yn fy nghefnogi I, ond byddwn i'n wedi teimlo'n well pe bai ni wedi cael y sgwrs honno. Doeddwn I ddim hyd yn oed yn sylweddoli y byddai'n rhaid I mi wneud y penderfyniad hwnnw nes iddo ddigwydd. Gofalwr mewn grŵp ffocws.
I was confident, but then I had to go back and tell my father and my sisters. They all supported me, but I would have felt better if I'd had that conversation. I didn't even realise that I was going to have to make that decision until it happened. So I will stop sharing now. So that's what advanced care planning is. It's about having those conversations that often can bring a carer and their cared for closer together, because you're talking about things that maybe both of you are scared to discuss, but it's a way of saying, hopefully that the things I've spoken about there are ways of making it easier to start that conversation, and also showing you the value of having that conversation, as scary as it might be. Would you have any questions?
Diolch yn fawr iawn, Julie. Byddai'n rhoi cyfle i ni mynd mewn, mewn eiliad i'r sesiwn cwestiwn ag ateb. Jyst i ni cloi'r rhan o'r sesiwn yma, mae'r manylion o'r sesiynau eraill ar-lein, y diwrnod hawliau gofalwyr, ar gael ar dudalen Facebook a gwefan Cyngor Sir Ceredigion. Bydd gwybodaeth am yr union dudalen ar wefan y Cyngor ynghyd â manylion cyswllt Uned Gofalwyr Ceredigion. I'w gweld yn golofn sylwadau, a fydd yn cyd-fynd ar recordiad hwn ar-lein hefyd. So details of the other Carers' Rights Day online sessions are available on Ceredigion County Council's Facebook page and the website. I'll note the exact page on the Council's website and the contact details for the Carers Unit, Ceredigion Carers Unit, in the comments that will accompany this recording online. Diolch yn fawr iawn I Julie am wneud y sgwrs hwn. Thank you very much to Julie for doing this talk today.